Welcome back. Today is our last episode of Heteronormativity, our tragic love story. Welcome back to my series where I have been talking about heteronormativity, and I am your host, Luira Batista, and I am 16 years old. So today I wanted to do like a little something different because it is the last episode. So I thought that, I would stand up. I'm not in my chair, so we're just gonna be having like a one-on-one conversation, like we always do. And if you don't notice, I changed my background just a little bit, I wanted to add a little bit of spice. So today we're going to be talking about the reparations because, I've been calling out heteronormativity on everything it's been doing, but for us to be able to change, we have to know where we need to change. And so I addressed that throughout the series, and today I'm going to be talking about how you and your friends and everyone around you can help change so that the next generation won't have to face with what heteronormativity has put us through. So let's get started. Okay, so first, I will do a little recap about what heteronormativity is. Heteronormativity is the social standard that everyone around us and everyone we know is heterosexual and cisgendered. So that being said, we are all cisgendered, like there's no other binaries, there's no other people in the gender binary, and there's nothing else, okay? Just heterosexual and cisgender. I wanted to talk about open-mindedness. And I think this is something that I heard from most interviews, that LGBTQ people want to see open-mindedness in people's hearts. When I say open-mindedness, we want that the people who have these heteronormative ideologies keep an open mind about all the opinions that are coming in. Because yes, of course, these things are new, but it's extremely important that we all as a society have an open mind to taking in these ideas. But not only just the people with heteronormative ideologies, but also LGBTQ people. So for example, if there was to be like a new gender, so for example, I was having a conversation with a friend not too long ago, and she was talking about how when non-binary people started to get attention, that they were kind of shamed for it because it was kind of unfair towards transgender people because they were trying to make a stand for themselves. Meanwhile, non-binary people don't even identify as a gender. So it is extremely important that we all have an open mind, and especially when it comes to pronouns. You don't know how people might want to pronounce themselves, and obviously when we speak the English language for English speakers, it's a lot easier to be mindful of these pronouns. But if you were to speak a language like Portuguese, for example, there isn't any gender neutral terms, so it makes it a lot harder. So whenever we're in the situations, let's keep an open mind, let's be respectful. Being open-minded, it creates more rights in the country, and it lets us become a more free and diverse society. So the second point I wanted to talk about is encourage education. Education is extremely important because without education, we won't be able to understand one another. We won't be able to know where our faults are. So for example, me, this is my form of encouraging education, because I took you through what heteronormativity was, most of the different aspects about heteronormativity, and I walked you through so that you guys could get an understanding about what it is that queer people are facing. With education, it creates understanding, it helps for aid, and it also encourages resources, because once we're all educated, we all know what we need to help each other. And if someone was to come out as transgender to us, then we know how to give them those resources. If someone is having trouble at home with defining their sexuality, we can give them that help. Or even just people who are confused about themselves and don't know who they are. With resources and encouraging education, it makes it a safe place, and it makes a mark on that they can be who they are without having to put a filter on themselves. So yes, encourage education so that everyone knows and understands each other. Usually people are homophobic because of the lack of education. It also aids mental health because obviously more people who are educated, more people that are mindful, more people that are open-minded, it makes better mental health, on which we talked about last episode. Less discrimination, less bullying, less suicidal rates, and it's gonna be overall better. So the second to last point that I want to talk about is exposure. It is extremely important that queer people get the exposure that they need on media, especially people of color, because there is quite a lot of mainstream media like Love Simon that talk about queer couples, but their main characters are like white. So that being said, it's a lot more valuable for those minority groups because they already don't have any representation. So that it is extremely important that we give representation to the people of color who need it. Not to mention that with exposure, it empowers education, because we're seeing a story from the minority's point of view, so they're more prone to be empathetic to them, and we will realize what it's like for them to be in a society. Also, once we have those spaces with more diverse groups, it means that we will be able to be more understanding and accepting, because we see these people, we hear of these stories, and then it promotes homonormativity, which is unlike heteronormativity, which promotes just the normalization of homosexual people. So through exposure, it means that it gets the resources to those people, like from movies and shows and educational videos. It gets them a place for them to know what they're doing with themselves, and just like an example, oh hey, like I kind of saw this happen, I could do this with myself. It encourages conversation between people, because with the positive mainstream media that you're gonna get, it means that more people are gonna be able to notice that, hey, this is normal, this is something that happens, so let's talk about it. I have some questions, let's talk about it. So they find more queer people, and it just becomes a more safe environment, and it just makes it better for people overall, because they see themselves in these stories, they are heard. And of course, we are aiming for homonormativity, so that there is no clarification of what you are. You just are what you are, and you get to be whoever you want with a normal mentality, and not feeling like you're worthless or any less than a straight and cisgendered person. And our last one is social responsibility. Of course, it is extremely important that we do the first three, because those are the most important ones to get it done. But obviously, with getting the first three ones done, there's going to be some bad apples. So with the bad apples, it is extremely important that we call them out, we educate them when needed, but obviously don't feel like you're obligated to educate everyone that is uneducated. But you should be able to call them out on their mistakes, and make sure that we are creating room so that these victims of homo-negative assaults can decrease. It could also be calling out conversion therapy, making sure that we are eradicating conversion therapy camps, because it's not doing anything good for the LGBTQ community. So with that being said, we must call out those who are in the wrong, those who are hurting people and are making them feel more suicidal, or making them feel just any less of a human being like all of us, for not being a part of the heteronormative standard. For that makes room for less tragedies, and obviously more happy people. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who worked with me on this project, everyone who took the time to watch all of the episodes, and if you did, thank you so much. Please, like always, share with a friend, and I like to thank you guys all so much, and to more project with you guys. Thank you.